Hello and welcome to ULT. Today is February the 19th. It is a Wednesday and this is my trade recap for gold futures. All right, I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I took a screen recording of my entire day so we can kind of watch this stuff unfold live as it was when I took trades, and we can kind of go through that. So on my other screen, I do have the full chart just so I can keep an eye on where I'm at. So let's get right into it. The first trade of the day set up shortly after the open range formed. So we'll go ahead and play this here. The open range formed. It's 8:35 in the morning. We poked out the top. We pulled down to the gold line. And we'll move forward a little bit. There it goes. Okay. So I went ahead and jumped into it. Now, a couple of notes on this trade is, first of all, I got into it late. It had moved past the entry candle and moved up. I wasn't quick enough, but I went ahead and put an order there in case it came back down to tap me in. The problem with that is that my rules say that as soon as it hits 9 ticks, I move to break even, which it did go 9 ticks. So essentially my entry point would have been my break even point. So I realized that kind of after I got into the trade. It wasn't handled well from that standpoint. My stop loss was just below that entry. You can see now I'm moving it down because I want to be 5 ticks below my entry candle. The price does push back up into positive territory. As soon as it does kind of push up, I'm not too excited about it. So it goes that exact 9 ticks again. So I move my stop to break even. And it comes back down, stops me out for break even. So ultimately, that was a good trade. It worked out just like it should. My only comment on that was I should not have got into it on a late entry, especially after it hit that 9 ticks. The good thing is I did not chase it. You never want to do that with these scalps. You got to either take the scalps because you want to get in and get out. This isn't like these aren't momentum move. Well, they are momentum moves, but we're not looking for, some big move. We're looking for a quick reaction. So if you don't get in on that first quick reaction, the probability goes down. So I'm happy with that. All right, so let's move forward here. Let's see. Yes, this is the next one. Okay, so this trade, we break out of the open range to the bottom. Beautiful, just drop through that. If you're an ORB trader, that's perfect. The perfect reaction you're looking for. You can see here I'm drawing out the volume imbalance. I want to note that imbalance anytime there's a gap between candles. That's something I want to be aware of because that can often be resistance. Price usually wants to come back down to those levels, but it may not want to push through it. So I went ahead and put my entry there. This one, the only kind of yellow flag with this is I prefer to have that gold line and the red line stacked in the right order, meaning that if it's a red line, if I'm below the red line, I want to go short. But to confirm that trend, I want that gold line to be under the red line for a short or above the red line for a long. So right now having the yellow line above the red line is more bullish. And so we're getting in a short here. My thought process is we broke out of the bottom of the open range. We are retesting the bottom of the open range. This is also the overnight open, the level that price opened at last night at 6 p.m. or whatever time it opens. So I'm looking at a test of that, and that works out well. Do I have this sped up? Let me see. I thought I did. Yeah, it's currently going 2 times, 2x. Let's skip ahead here. You can see I didn't get my entry moved up. I should have been trailing this candle. I didn't get there. You can see immediately we end up getting a little bit of resistance. It does come down a little bit, but you can see those wicks. It's pulling down and popping. We're getting a reaction the wrong way on those. So that's not necessarily a good thing. It never goes far enough into profit for me to move my stop loss. And so it does, this one does end up coming back and stopping me out. So that's a note for future reference. If I have a question, I really should wait until the red line and the gold line kind of match up. that's a rule that hasn't been a hard and fast rule, but probably one I should add. Okay, so if we're keeping track, the first trade, here I think I'm going to put the markers on so we can see that. The first trade was basically break even, 1 tick positive. This one was a 15 tick loss. I got in on 2 contracts, so that's $300 down right there. All right, so now we move forward. You can see that volume imbalance is holding. Again, a volume imbalance is simply a gap between the close of one candle and the open of the next candle. We do come back up to the red line, gold line. You can see those lines have now crossed. The problem is that we're not coming from a lower low. I have the yellow line drawn where the pivot is. If we break that pivot, there is no trade for the gold line. And we break the pivot, so there is no trade. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. Let's move forward a little bit, I think. All right. All right, so here we have prices pushed back down again. Now we are coming back up to the green line. Because we came from the other side of the red line, I'm flipping back and forth between the 1 minute and the 15 minute just to kind of orient myself there. So I apologize for that kind of flashing back and forth. We can see we do have a cross. We did come from one side of the red line to the other side of the red line. And usually the first kind of pullback after a cross like that is good for a little bit of a continuation. Because we were still respecting this volume imbalance, I did not get into this trade. But this does work actually quite nicely. And you can see we get a really impulsive move down. Let's move forward. I'm just going to speed it up here. You can see I'm drawing circles where the pivots high and the pivots low are. That's just kind of for my for visual reference there. So I kind of see where we're coming from. All right, we push back up to the green line. I'm waiting to see what happens here. I'm not too excited about getting into this because if you get into this right here, you're pushing down into these wicks where we've had, twice it's been down here and rejected up. So I'm really not too excited about that. We push up, we touch the gold line, and we get an entry. So we have a gold line touch. We're coming from a pivot low. We return to the gold line. We've been through this volume imbalance, so that's no longer really anything of relevance for us. Let's jump forward here. We haven't quite got in yet. Okay, now we're in. Now on this one, I did move my target down because we are coming off of the gold line. I'm hoping it goes a little bit further. There's no reason really that I had my target there. It was basically at the bottom of those candles. And you can see I got really lucky because it filled me right there at the bottom there. So that was a total of 27 ticks. It was only one contract. I was a little skittish after losing the first 2, basically. And so it was a win. It did not offset my losses previously because of my position size. All right, that was trade number 3. So we got 1, 2, 3. All right, let me see. Where's the next one? All right, price meanders up. There's no trade here because we're not coming from a lower low. This is the pivot here that sent us down here. So that's the one we don't really want to break. I could have drawn a line off of this candle here. And you can see we broke that pivot. There would have been no entry off of this gold line because we're not coming from a recent low. And so we're just waiting. I get really fidgety when I'm waiting, so that's why you see the chart moving around, expanding, adding things, taking things away. It's just how I do it. Let's see. Where's the next one? All right, so here we have another situation where the red line and the gold line are not stacked right. The gold line is below the red line, and so that would be more bearish. Price is above the red line, which is bullish. So those are in contradiction. Not great. But this looks to me like a nice clean pullback. We have a pivot high. Retesting that gold line, retesting the red line, retesting the overnight open. Again, from the wrong side, but we've pushed up here. And so I go ahead and I give it a shot. This one ticks in right away. You can see we get a candle close up here. So I do keep this stop fairly tight. A candle close meaning a candle close above where my entry point was. I got a little nervous there, so I want to make sure I give myself the 5 ticks anyway. And so that's what we do. This ends up not working out. You can see this is just setting up. All signs right now lead to this is probably not going to work. I'm optimistic though after this. I see a little bit of a reversal pattern, but it does not hold and we get ticked out. So that one was a 19 tick loss. Again, only on one contract because I've reduced my position size at this time. And then let's move forward to the next one. Price comes low. We end up with really just kind of consolidation here. You know, it's really choppy, not a lot going on. I'm still marking my pivots. Here's a pivot low, but the lines are together. There's really nothing to do. These trades, you want the market to show you that it has a direction. You don't want to be in this channel. I mean, if you were to draw parallel lines here, you can see price is just in this channel. And so there's no reason to get in hoping for a breakout. You know, that just usually doesn't work. So we need to wait till it shows us where it wants to go. So let's move forward a little bit. Finally, it looks like maybe we'll get it. You can see this is another situation just like we had before where price was above the red line, broke below the red line, retested the green line, and this comes down actually for a pretty nice move. And we had a cross of the red line and the gold line right here. So that's not too bad. That would have been probably an okay entry because this was lower than here. So we are creating slightly lower pivots. We have a cross, we have a retest. That would have been a good trade. But again, we're still inside of this consolidation, so I wanted to wait. And patience paid in this case. We do finally get a low. We get a pullback here. This one takes a minute. Here, I'll push forward here. So I've got my order sitting there, waiting. And price just continues to kind of push up, but it has not, we don't have a full candle close above the green line yet. And so that means we stay in I keep my entry there. We get ticked in. I give me my 5 ticks or so off of the back of the entry candle. I don't know that was exactly 5 ticks, but there it was. And there's our 10 tick target. Let's see. Let me reference my other one. I think that was it. That was the last trade I took. Of course, you look back and you're like, man, I wish I would have held that one because see if we can find it here. Pause it there. Price just broke down. We do end up a little bit later in the morning. Later, we do get another nice red line trade, which I do take. But that was kind of outside of this window. So that was a plus 10 ticks. So we can do the math on that. All right, so moving this chart down here so you can just see the whole day in one snapshot. So I think if I did my math right, I'll have to double check this before I post the video. I think negative $110 on the day. That's before commissions, of course, but negative $110 on the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades. So overall, I would say my execution today was a lot better compared to yesterday. Still some gaps. Still, there were some opportunities that I did not take advantage of that would have been good opportunities. But overall, I think I managed my risk pretty well today. And so I'm pretty happy with it. The lessons from today, wait for that gold line and that red line to match up before you kind of take a continuation. And look for the red line crossovers a couple of times. When price crossed over the red line, came back for a retest. Where do we go here? Boom, boom. It did it once there and it did it again there for really nice entries. So that is my recap for today. So trade safe, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.